I want to try to talk a little about what happened to intersex people when they enforced the binary, right? In 1886, a woman has visited a doctor and said that she was having problem with having relations with her husband. The doctor looked at the woman, found that her clitoris was a small penis, found that she had testicles, and said, "My good woman, you are a man." And for the doctor, her biology was male, so she was a man. But for her, she has lived 40 years as a woman. She as a woman, the doctor is crazy. Does it sound familiar for any of you? In 1868, we have Herculine Barbie that committed suicide because she was forced to live as a man. Do it sound familiar to you? In 1917, we have money that says that the gender was socialized, and this idea made a lot of children suffering mutilations. And he said that he has a big advance because she got children that she had a problem in the circumcision and lost his penis and turned it into a girl and said that she was a success and everything. And then everywhere over the world, they start to do genital mutilations, intersex, because gender was socialized. But 20 years later, these children came forward and said, "No, he's lying. This don't exist. I always thought me as a man," and this children is David Raymer, and unfortunately he also committed suicide. So we get in 2019. The Catholic Church puts intersex and transgender in the same bag and says that it's a fate, it's like something that people do just to call attention. And how something that's biological is only to call for attention. We are intersex, we are trans. The binary don't exist. In Brazil, we have a doctor called Berenice Bilharino, and she's a defender of the whole idea of money. And she has 700 of cases of intersex children per year, more or less, plus 100 cases per year. So she has in median 700 and more or less 1 extra 100 per year of cases of intersex children that come to have to be mutilated. She does 2 surgeries per week, and in her opinion is to do the surgery the earliest possible, so you have children with 2-4 years having surgery and altering the whole genitalia because it don't fit the binary. And also she says, I am quoting her, they did the surgery for the definition, the request definition of genital, and this treatment in a right time. So, and she called the surgery repairing surgery and not a mutilation. So we have, if you pass that for Ireland, São Paulo, that's where she does that, has twice the size of Ireland. So if we extrapolate that for Ireland, we will have more or less 50 cases of intersex children being mutilated per year in Ireland. And that's a lot. That's 50 lives that are destroyed. And that's why we need to break the binary, to accept no-binary transgender, to accept transgender people, to accept intersex people. We exist, we live, we are here, and we deserve to be happy. And now, my friend Olive, we want to talk for Intersex Ireland.
The official church's teaching on intersex people is quite straightforward. They don't exist. There's a binary, there's male and female. And God created male and female in the eyes of the Catholic Church. Intersex people only came about as a result of Adam's sin in the Garden of Eden. That is actually the official Church's teaching. Which is hilarious in a lot of ways, but unfortunately, it's not so funny if you're an intersex child in a Catholic school. That is where the issue arises. They can believe what they want. If they want to believe the tooth fairy, let them. I'd have no problem with that. But I have a terrible issue when that has been indoctrinated into our children. A child goes into school at 5. The decision has to be made whether they're male or female. In fact, it actually starts younger than that. It starts at birth. In Ireland, you have 1 week to register a child as either male or female. If there is an ambiguity in their genitalia, the parents are forced to choose. And that is it for life. Then they are placed in Ireland, in mainstream, a lot of mainstream schools are still either male or female. So they're on a roll then. The fact the child is not developing the same way as a cisgendered child is irrelevant. They're not mentioned, or if they're mentioned, it's an incredibly negative experience. Because the Catholic Church has a very negative attitude towards intersex and trans people. Yeah. That child then, because their friends are also not told, they get no support. The majority of intersex children are bullied at school. That's a fact. And then it often leads to suicidal ideation. We need to separate church and state. We cannot have our children indoctrinated. Intersex people exist. We are people like any other group of people in society. There's a huge issues also in healthcare. Medical treatment is forced on intersex people. There's terrible pressure put on parents to do corrective surgery. That's still done in this country. There's actually no legislation covering intersex in Ireland. None. We were sanctioned by the UN. That's an absolute disgrace for a first world country to be sanctioned by the UN. But intersex people can't even choose the medical treatment they want. Why isn't electrolysis available on the medical card for intersex women who would have a lot of testosterone in their bloodstream? They're also not taught about things like the issue of dietary. For extreme PCOS, they're not taught about what foods can they eat, what foods possibly they may avoid. They're not taught about any of the issues around their own healthcare. They're just corrective surgery, male, female, and you stick on that road, and that is it. We must change as a society. We must intersex people exist. We fight back. There is no binary. Break the binary. Break the binary. Also, the fact is then, after school, the whole issue of the fact that children who when they go into secondary school, they're given no sex education. The sex education given to cisgendered children is minimal, but there's no sex education given to intersex children of any kind. They're not mentioned. And this means that there's a panic within themselves that their bodies develop. The young girls can't understand why their body is developing in what's considered a traditionally male way. Young boys can't understand what's happening to them. There's a panic within themselves, and this leads to gender dysphoria. There's a huge issue of gender dysphoria, and that's because of the education system. They should be taught to embrace themselves, to accept themselves, and to love themselves.